Good morning. Today I'm turning the compost heap, and I'm thinking it might be a good day to talk about soil health and compost heaps. I'm going to spritz this down layer by layer as I turn it. It's very dry in our area. You can, unless you have a very sloggy compost heap, can almost guarantee that it could use a little water. And then all I'm going to do is rake it layer by layer from this spot where it is over to right there, and that empty spot. That's all I've been doing, is going back and forth from here to right there and back again. So top layer's going down, top and sides, all the way over to here. I'm just going to make myself a little square. All right. And I can see as I'm turning it that I've got some large pieces that are pretty well never going to decompose, like big sticks. I mean, someday they'll decompose, but not necessarily in this heap. Compost is, this one is a little bit of newsprint, some greens from fall cleanup that I threw in there, some fig leaves, tomato clippings, a little bit of soil, a little bit of compost that I already had, and then all that stuff starts to break down. Here's some little bits of newsprint still in there. The fig leaves I can't really see all that much anymore. There's some more newsprint. If I feel my compost heap, it's kind of warm. And that's normal for it to warm up a little bit. So that feels good. So it's still decomposing a little bit. I wouldn't get started using this until it was all the way decomposed. How do you know it's all the way decomposed? There's no more signs of the things you put in there breaking down. There's also chicken poop in there. So I cleaned up the chicken coop this fall and threw it all in here. So when you don't see any chicken poop, newsprint, fig leaves, tomato leaves, that's when you know your compost heap has finished, and then you can use it in your garden beds. A little bit of water, a little bit of air. Introduced to the layers when you flip it is a good thing. If you want your compost heap to heat up a little bit more, just throw some more greens in there. If it's sloggy, wet, overly squishy, then you put some more browns in there. Paper, newsprint, brown leaves. It's the browns and the greens that people talk about when they're composting. Brown matter, it's all organic. Brown matter is something that's already in a decomposed state. Brown leaves, newspaper, cardboard, even couple shovels full of already finished compost. And then greens being kitchen waste, not meat scraps and things like that, but chopping up vegetables and you don't want the little nubs or little leaves of things, put them in there. And plants from the garden that are finished. You know something, I have a tomato plant, 2 of them that I haven't cleaned up from my fall cleanup yet. I'm going to stick them right here on this layer, and I have some fig leaves on the ground from some trimming I did on the fig tree, and I'm going to put them in there, and those can decompose. That'll heat up the compost heap. Heat is bacteria eating the greens. I'm going to chop up some of this tomato plant. A little bit smaller pieces decompose quicker. And I'm not even going to bother with this part at all because sticks take forever to decompose. I kind of toss them over here, and I will cut it a little smaller, and it can just be more along the lines of mulch in my garden. The chunkier pieces that sometimes we leave on top. The stuff that I want to get nice and fine and down to being able to amend my soil with good organic matter. I don't try to avoid all the sticks for the most part. There's some sticks in there. It's all right. But it's this leafy matter that really decomposes quicker. Chickens are gonna love this guy. Alright, that's about all I'm going to do with that tomato. If you're wondering why I'm adding more green and brown matter to my compost heap when it almost looked finished, ready to throw in to garden beds. Number one reason, because I have more matter in my yard that can decompose. But number two, chicken manure takes longer to decompose than these leafy greens from the garden. So while that's still going, I can have more greens going too. So that'll decompose while the chicken manure has time to also finish decomposing. In our area, our native soil is tends toward alkaline on the pH scale. pH of 7 would be neutral. Anything higher than that veers toward alkaline. Anything lower than that veers toward acidic. And edibles, which is what we're trying to grow, thrive better in slightly acidic soil. We're not talking going all the way down the scale and making it really acidic, but I don't know. I think the numbers are around 6.4 or 6.8 or somewhere in the 6s. I'm not going to go do soil testing on my soil. I just know that the native soil in our area veers toward alkaline. There's a lot of choices when you want to add acidity to your soil. My favorite is compost. It feels like you can resolve any problem really by adding some compost. And fix the pH balance, want to add nutrients, want to get the soil bacterias and fungi and worms, get everybody working for your soil health. Then put some compost in there. I'm just breaking down some of these melon vines. What is it? Melon and butternut squash. Those are done in my garden. I do have a grinder, and I'm afraid of using it because it feels like it could suck you down in there. Anyways, I'm just going to chop it. But if ever I have a lot of garden waste that I want taken care of all at once, I have my husband run the grinder. Fig leaves. Have some pruning I want to do on my tree anyway, so I thought I would add some of these green leaves. See these the vines that I just put in there, melon vine and butternut squash, were already starting to decompose on the ground before I just picked them up and threw them in here. So they are on their way to turning brown. They're still decomposing. There's still some green in there. Your greens are nitrogen rich. You're adding nitrogen to your compost heap. Your browns are carbon. You're adding carbon to the compost heap. Both of those things feed fungi and bacteria that are going to then decompose. They're the ones at work decomposing your plant matter. Bacterias, fungi, worms, and they're eating this stuff. I use gloves when I work with figs because they are sticky, and that sticky stuff, when it comes out the branch, it's like a milky sticky stuff. Oh, here's a good example. See that milky stuff on there? That is really itchy. Smells good. Your compost should smell earthy. If it smells gross, you might have too much green matter in there. If that's the case, add more brown matter or carbon in the way of already decomposed leaves, newspaper, cardboard, egg cartons, I don't know. Whatever's already brown and that once was a living thing. You can put eggshells in your compost. You have to look that one up. I don't think that that is brown or green. I think it's a neutral material that you could just use as filler. It'll break down. And then that heats up. So that'll be fun. See some steam coming off of it, or feel the warmth of it next time I come out and turn it. Because of all that green matter in there, it's gonna get warm. Sometimes when I'm working on something, it doesn't always come to mind what all questions people might have about native soil or amending it for vegetable gardening. So if there's anything I neglected to anticipate and respond to, go ahead and put it in the comments section, and we'll see if we can respond to anybody's questions about amending the soil here. I put on about 2 inches of compost on my garden bed every year. I don't make enough here in my yard. I do buy a little bit. You can buy from the city dump, which is kind of junky. It's you get what you get. It's still, it's a big pile of good compost, but it's also going to be filled with chunky matter that's more along the lines of mulch. And then it's also going to have plastic and candy wrappers, and what else have I found in there? A spigot, like the handle to a hose spigot one time. I don't know. And then there's another place out here called Western Rock, and they have better compost than City Dump. They don't necessarily cater to the little man. They have big, massive trucks out there moving a lot of landscaping material in addition to compost. And so when you go out there with your cute little car and trailer, and this massive machine will come and scoop up a load of compost into your trailer for you, and that will cost you $35 every transaction, whether you got $12 worth of compost or more. So it might be worth renting something larger or borrowing from somebody, or just not going out there. A couple of the garden centers will deliver to your home. So I love compost. I add it to my garden every year. It helps our plants, keep our soil amended, keep it it's just able to plant in, because you can't say our native soil won't grow anything, you know, but you go on a hike and what are you gonna find, you know? Creosote and rabbit brush and sage, and desert marigolds, and worm and tea, and go higher up you'll find junipers, and you know, it's not a vegetable garden. So native soil grows stuff, but it's not the kind of stuff I want to eat. So yeah, definitely throw some compost on your garden bed. Yeah, if I'm neglecting anything, please put it in the compost. Throw it in the compost. Put it in the comments section, and we'll see if we can respond. Between myself and other growers who are looking at the YouTube channel can respond, and we'll see what we can do to answer questions about amending native soil or composting. All right, have a great day.